I want to touch on this topic real quick because I think a lot of people get these intertwined and not know that there's a difference. You could be a preacher, but you also could be a businessman. How do you compartmentalize those two?
Yeah,
Because that's the biggest misconception. And we, in this day and age, we see pastors flexing better than the ministry.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a jet, you got a Rolls, you got a this, you got a that. But Miss Mamie giving her last and she got a plucker. You see what I'm saying? It's like the visual that is in our faces sometime in regards to how we see ministry can be skewed to the normal person, or just a person from the outside. It's like, hold on, wait, why he driving that and she driving that, but she giving his last or her last, and how he getting that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how do you differentiate the pastor Henderson versus the businessman Mr. Henderson?
Yeah, because all of the people that I do business with, they don't do business with Pastor Henderson, they do business with Keion. So I recognize that I'm a human, number one. Number two, I'm a businessman. My degrees, I went to college for business. I've got one in interpersonal communication. I've got elements of law. I've got a theological degree. I'm a master's in that. I've written 2 books. Those books come with advances, right? That's why I'm here with you today, to keep selling them, to get that advance back. And the more they get that advance back, guess what? The next advance it advances the previous advance. I started out, I cut my teeth in tax companies. Then my ex-wife and I at that time had 8 total offices. So we made substantial income there. I bought land and sold land. I've always lived beneath my means to make sure that I can make room for myself. I've got investments that when I retired, they should kick me off millions when I'm in my 60s and 70 years old. You know, I've done the business. So there is no possible way, at least for me, I can't speak for nobody else. There is no possible way for me to be able to afford some of the things that people have a problem with based on what I receive from the ministry.
From the pulpit.
There's just no way. The math don't math,
It
bro.
don't, correct.
The math don't math. Out of 20,000 members we have in our church, maybe 10% of the people are actively involved on a week-to-week basis. Most people in church leave without giving anything on a given Sunday. That's a national fact. I have no issue with it because some of them have nothing to give. And I always say in our church, listen, if you ain't got no money, you can still give a praise. So while we giving money, you give God praise. You ask him that by the time it comes next time to give something, Lord bless me. Because in the church, we believe that giving is sowing and reaping. We don't look at it as a payment. We ain't giving nothing. We're investing it, believing that God will give us a return on it. That's the principle of the scripture that we believe. So the math don't math. So when you see some preachers, I'm not speaking for anybody else, my friends, myself, I know that it is impossible for our church to have accumulated and achieved what it achieved if the books were unbalanced.
Correct.
We've bought millions of dollars in real estate. We've given, when Hurricane Harvey came, our church in the year's time had given over $1 million in cash and items to people who were suffering. But see, this is my problem with reporting. The stuff that we did right, nobody talks about because of the negative bias.
Correct.
That I'm going to say 2 words, and I want you to blink when I say them. Baby. Cancer. All right. I want y'all to get that on camera because when I said baby, it took him like 5 seconds to blink. When I said cancer, he blinked quicker and he stayed longer. Why? Because negativity always gets a reaction that positivity won't. So it's the same way when negative stuff hit. The blink happens faster. The click happens faster. The lie, it speeds up. So people have found out that outrage is a business.
That's media.
That's media. But it doesn't make the people that they're villainizing evil or wrong.
Now you're talking.
Okay? It doesn't mean that. And in some cases that does exist. Man, but I've known some people that took some heat over some stuff that wasn't right. And I know some people who did some stuff that was wrong, but because of who they were and who they knew, nobody said anything about. So it's hard out in these streets. It's hard out here, bro. It's tough, it's difficult.
Man, but somebody has to expose the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
And
they
not
should
be messy about it either.
Yeah,
It's
somebody
just
got to
like-
expose the truth. Somebody does have to expose the truth.
Right.
But who exposes the truth on the people who expose the truth?
The truth don't got no tattletale. It should just be the truth. Because the truth comes from a drunken tongue.
Yeah.
The truth comes from a sober tongue. But the one thing about the truth is to set you free.
Yeah.
Now, you can say the same thing about a lie. But as you just said, it ain't mathing.
It ain't mad.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just know for me, my way of going about certain things, it's triggering sometimes, especially from the church, because I seen firsthand my father as a bishop and my father as a businessman. And like you said it perfectly. The things that I'm affording, if I was using the church's funds to do this, somebody would have been done told and said, hold on, Bishop, hold on, you can't, how you get this, how you get that? But that don't mean you can't be a good businessman.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
And in most churches that operate on that level, there's a board of directors that vote on the salary.
Mm-hmm.
In most churches that operate on that level, at least our church, all of our books are audited by a CPA every year to make sure that if we're ever audited, that we have our books in place. So we have all of the things that are in place to make sure that for all of our employees, not just the pastor, that compensation isn't exorbitant, but the math don't math. But if I buy a house and that house appreciates and I sell that house for a profit, and then I buy another house,
Mm-hmm.
and then I buy apartments, and then I sell those apartments and they appreciate, and then I take that and I don't have to pay any capital gains tax because I buy something that's more expensive.
Watch out now.
And I keep getting there.
You keep.
Yeah. You just
Up flipping it. Up flipping it.
You just keep going until you get to a place where you can say, now my interest is paying for my activity.
That's the businessman, Keion.
That's all you gotta do. And look, bro, like, I got one guy that I just talked to not too long ago. I asked him, I said, man, what is your goal? See, if you change who you talk to, you could change your bias. See, our bias exists because we never talk to anybody bigger than the people we grew up with. You got to figure out how to talk to somebody who got a dream that's larger than yours. I talked to a guy, I said, what's your goal? This man looked me in my face, Cam, and said, my goal is in the next 3 years to be in debt $1 billion. They going, y'all, that face got to be a thumbnail. The one he just did, it got to be a thumbnail.
Not the thumbnail. Hey! But the thing is this, I know what you mean. It hit me first and I'm saying, okay, you leveraging.
Yeah.
Come on now.
So it's like I'm gonna use a small number. You got $1,000 in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And you waiting to save it because remember, most of us were raised by people who don't have money.
Yes, sir.
So what does a person who don't have money tell you to do? Save it. Scarcity mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So I was raised by people who didn't have money, but I surrounded myself by people who did. Mm-hmm. So the person who does have money says, take the $1,000.
Right.
Go to the bank.
Come on now.
Get an 80-20 LTV. They gonna give you $5,000. Go spend the $5,000 on something that's income producing. And when you spend the $5,000 on something income producing, now the $5,000 is making you $100 a month. I bought the shirt with that 100, not with that 1,000. The Africans say if you eat your dinner in the morning, you won't have anything to eat at night. So you just build it and you accumulate it. I didn't have $200 shoes 10 years ago. I ain't have $500 shoes 10 years ago. I done wrote enough books and sold enough stuff to get a couple pair of shoes and not have to dip in the treasury at the church to get them.
For sure.
And so that's why I feel comfortable in my own skin when I do, because I know that my source isn't what the people who don't know actually say that it is.
Right. You're preaching. Or you're putting us on game. However you want to put it. Somebody gonna say, well, are you paying your tithes?
25%.
Tuh. Come on now.
25%.
What happened to the 10%? I thought it was 10%.
It is 10, but I live in the risk zone, so I need more. So I'm not a tither, I'm generous.
All right, Mo.
Yeah.
Put
Every week, without fail.
Let him use you. Let him use you.